Hey guys, welcome to this week's podcast episode. I apologize for the noise. There's construction going on. I'm happy to have Albino Sanchez, and he is an entrepreneur, but he's got a very fascinating story. His purpose related to business is to transform lives and organization through leadership and culture within various avenues. And today's going to be talk about leadership, organization, navigating change, building high performing teams, CEO secret weapon, and I'm really happy to have him on the show. So Albino, welcome.
Hello, Christopher. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so we had connected through Podmatch and kind of set the stage, tell people about your experience and background and the work that you do.
Sure. Well, I've been a business consultant for many years. Strategy management has been my specialization. So I've helped organizations to define their strategy and execute their strategy. I've been working for consultancies as well as for companies. I've been a strategic planning director, no, for a few companies, and then I realized that organizations were struggling really with execution of strategy, and then I realized that the core reason was leadership. The reason why organizations were not really executing the strategy, and because many times they think it's a methodology, the consultant, it's processes, but ultimately I discovered that it was leadership and people management. So I decided then to become an executive coach. So I became an executive coach, and I've been helping executives and leaders and CEOs execute their strategy through developing leadership skills, and it's been an amazing journey. And recently, a couple of years ago, I started my own company, and so I'm helping organizations doing just that, execute their strategy through leadership and uh, developing culture and developing people.
Yeah, really fascinating journey. And so I'm gonna kind of switch gears and talk about passion and success. And you really spoken about the importance of following one passion to achieve success, and give us an example, the audience, from your career where your passion directly contributed to a major success, despite people, the naysayers or the haters, and how can people tap into their passions and to achieve success?
Sure. Well, I recently published a book I co-authored. This book is called, the name is Cracking the Rich Code. And I'm one of the co-authors. And in my chapter, I share my journey through my career on discovering my passions, discovering my calling, right? My purpose. And what I share there is that it's very important to first be aware of who you are, to do some internal work. That's very important to really understand what are your passions, what are your talents, and then from there you start experiencing life, right? And there's a lot of signs that you're gonna encounter over your journey, and try to be aware and try to identify those signs. By reading those signs and by being aware of who you are and what you like and where you're good at, you start discovering your path and your calling, and that's exactly what I've been doing. But it took me around 20 years, right? But I'm really, really happy, and I'm doing exactly what I'm meant to do. And they say that when you work on what you love, you're not really working. You are just being present, enjoying life, right? And something like that is happening to me. But well, of course, that's something I help people with, through my coaching. I help them discover that passion, that calling, that purpose. And when you are there, we can say that when you are in the flow, uh, things start happening to you, right? When you're out of flow, you think that like you are, swimming against the current, right? Things are heavy, are difficult, and you start feeling like, life is not working with you, right? But that's why it's so important to find that purpose, that path. And once you're there, you can feel it. You can feel it because things start, flowing. If I could give you an example in my career, it was exactly the moment where I realized that being a consultant, it was a great job. I loved helping organizations, many different organizations. I learned a lot, and I helped executive teams, CEOs. But it was disappointing when after we finished the projects and I left the project, left the company, and then I came back maybe a couple of years later just to say hello and talk to colleagues. I realized that all that effort was many times it was lost because maybe they changed the CEO, or maybe they moved into different projects, different frameworks. So all that effort was lost, and that was really disappointing to me. So that was a moment where I said, "Hey, this is not working. I'm not happy with this. No, all that effort lost." So I really wanted to help organizations change, and leaders really help their teams to go to higher level of performance. So I decided to become a business coach, an executive coach. And you know what? That as I was saying, the signs start appearing. I helped a manager at a company where he was a sales manager at a company that they were selling raw material for food for pets, right? So he started his career he was a veterinarian, but now he was selling food for raw material to manufacture food. So he was not happy with his job. He was not having a good performance, and he was not sure why. And throughout the coaching sessions, he realized that when he decided to study to become a veterinarian, the reason was that he really loved animals, right? He wanted to work with animals, and in this job, he was not working with animals at all. He was just selling, materials to companies. At that moment, I told him, "Hey, you need to reassess. What are you doing with your life? You're not. I can see that you're not happy. You're not having results." I asked him to really, look inside and what is it that you would really love to do in your life. He said, "Okay, I would love to have a clinic, a veterinarian clinic. I would love to heal pets." So then through the conversation, I asked him, "Why don't you do it? What's stopping you from doing that?" And he started, seeing himself there. He really got passionate about it. And a few sessions after that, he came to me and he said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna quit my job, and I already have plans. I reached out to some friends that they live in another city, and next month I'm moving there and I'm starting my clinic." So he started his clinic. He still has his clinic. This was like 15 years ago, and he's so thankful about having that conversation with me. And he's living the life he was supposed to live, and because he had some help from someone, but the most important part is that he gave himself permission to dream, and also he believed that he could do that, and he executed, right? So when the moment I saw that was one of my first interventions, one of my first interactions with a client in coaching. And when I saw that I could change someone's lives, that was a moment I said, "Okay, I'm in the right place."
Yeah, it's very interesting, and it's almost counterintuitive. And again, apologies for the construction, but once you're in this flow state, and usually flow, there's not like because we as professionals and high achievers, we're always like on a set schedule, and we think like we do X, Y, and Z at time A, B, and C, and we do this consistently. But the universe doesn't work that way. It works like sometimes you have, years of downtime, and then 1 year makes up for the last like 10, 20 years. So we just have to be open, and it's kind of like open to the timing and receptive and synchronicity. I've been reading some really interesting books on, the law of attraction. So kind of moving on is this idea of idea execution. And as someone known for turning ideas into reality, what strategies or methodologies do you use to ensure that creative concepts are effectively executed, and share an example as well?
Sure. Well, I've been helping executives to turn ideas into reality in their lives. And also, I've been helping organizations to turn ideas into reality for their business, right? So, regarding the business, I've been using different frameworks for strategy definition and strategy execution. And for example, there's a great framework called Blue Ocean. I don't know if you're familiarized with this. Okay, that's a great framework where you need to see yourself and in the marketplace and compare yourself with the competition and see ways of differentiating yourself in the market by doing things that are different from what the market expects, right? And so you need to look into your strengths as a company. You need to look into what would be interesting for your target market, as value added, something that's innovative, and that maybe they're not aware of it, but maybe you can come up with new solutions, new ideas, new features. So yeah, it's a very interesting process, all the innovation process, and it requires a lot of creative thinking. There's many frameworks, but the idea is that the most I'm going to go back a little bit into the culture. That's I think that's very important to have. The culture in the organization is going to be the one that's going to be an obstacle to your innovation, or it's going to be an enabler of your innovation. So I think that if you're an organization, if you're a leader that wants to innovate, you need to review if you have the right culture for that. Because that's key, because I've been helping several organizations that are, for example, too focused on operations, too focused on short-term results, and also they are risk averse, for example. If you have that kind of culture, every time you have a different idea that's out of the ordinary, you're going to have people like in the finance department, for example, that's going to be questioning all the time, hey, what's this for? Give me the ROI and the projections, and we need to make sure that this is going to be something successful, or I won't fund it, I won't give you budget for that. So you have that kind of organization, it's going to be difficult to innovate, right? And there's the other side of the coin, those organizations that they have big budgets just for innovation, right? And they are aware that innovation requires being open to risk, and they are aware of that, and they are expecting failure, right? Because they see failure as a way to learn and to grow, and they expect that from maybe every 30 projects, maybe one is going to be successful, but that one is going to be so big that's going to fund the other 29, right? So that's the kind of mindset that the organization needs to have, and the kind of culture that they need to have. So this requires a totally different mindset, right? So you can enable innovation. So I would say that that's a key ingredient for innovation, and then you can start talking about frameworks for innovation, etc. But first, you need to have that culture and that leadership and that mindset. That would be my recommendation there.
Yeah, really great. But kind of next is this idea of navigating change, and after 2020, I became convinced that there's no sure thing anymore. Institutions will come and go, they'll fall and crumble. So kind of talk about change management as a critical skill for any leader, and from your experience, essential strategies for successfully navigating organizational change in our current challenging environments, work, higher education, government, healthcare, everything. Talk about that.
Sure. Well, yeah, change management is a very interesting topic, and it's important that we, as leaders, we know how to lead a change initiative, right? We are, first of all, we are nowadays everything is changed, right? There's so many competition. Technology has revolutionized everything, communications. So the pace of business nowadays is so fast, and changes are on a daily basis. We're having changes in everything. So now change is a skill, right? Change is a mindset, and we need to be aware of this. But there's, whenever we want to, for example, we want to implement maybe on a big software, maybe, that requires that a lot of processes have to change in the organization, and people are going to be, afraid that they may lose their jobs, right? And there's many other people that, don't want to change the way they work today, or they are afraid of, losing any privilege, or I don't know, they are uncomfortable because things are going to change. Okay. So we need to expect that. We need to expect that people are fearful of big changes in the way they work. So we need to manage that. We need to manage those expectations, those feelings, those emotions, and there's frameworks for that. Okay. And so I would recommend leaders to reach out to organizations that can train them on change management, so that they understand that there's frameworks that you can follow. And something that's important to take into consideration is that there's frameworks where they help the leaders to convince the workers. But I would rather go for other frameworks where we invite the workers to participate in the change, and we ask them, their opinions, what are they thinking, and we take into consideration their concerns, right? And that we proactively do something about it, so that people can see that we really care. And I think that's the most important part. That if our employees, they are feeling some anxiety about a big project that we are implementing, we need to listen to them. We need to be much more closer, and we need to really do something about it. When you do that, people start collaborating much more, obviously, but they don't do it from the perspective of, I convince them and I'm doing a lot of marketing, right? That's a traditional way of doing change management. You create a beautiful name for the project and a logo, and you do a lot of marketing. That's a traditional way. The new way of doing change management is having direct conversations with them and attending their concerns. Something even better is that we ask them, hey, how would you do this? What's the best way to do it? So it's not just like, you need to do this, and I'm trying to convince you, but it's the other way around. It's, hey, we're thinking of doing this, but we want your opinion, we want your advice, and why don't we do this together? That's a completely different approach, and that's the one that we're following. We train people in change management, and this is something we do. This type of change management, where we put people at the center, and we care for people's opinion, and we teach leaders how to embrace change, and how to help their employees embrace change as well.
Yeah, I'm very fascinated. And you talked about just governments and organizations, and the longer I live, the more convinced I am that government just doesn't get it, and a lot of times it stands in the way, and they just kind of impede progress. And you talked about the incumbents, and there's all over Twitter, and there's like politicians getting rich off the current system, and that's why I love disruptive technology. So how can people contact you, find out about the work that you do, and find out more about you?
Sure. The best way to reach out to me is through LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn is linkedin.com/in/Albino Sanchez. Albino is Albino Sanchez. So you can reach out to me. There's in my LinkedIn profile there you can find my website, which is www.ahaimpact.com. It's AHA impact.com. That's the name of my company. You can also schedule a call with me, and there's some other links. You can buy my book. You can learn a little bit about my journey, and I give some tips on how to discover your purpose in life, or as an entrepreneur. And also, there's an assessment that you can also download, so that you can find where are your main saboteurs. There's 10 saboteurs that we may have, and with this assessment you can find out where are your most important saboteurs, and I can help you work on them as well.
Yeah, thanks. Wonderful conversation. I really loved it. And be sure to check out Albino's socials, give him a like and follow, check out his book. Those links will be in the show notes. And with that, thanks so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.